Alright, so this is the Unit 7 Learning Target Review. Our test is coming up soon, so we want to study all of these learning targets. The first one, and probably the most challenging overall really, is using the order of operations to simplify expressions and evaluate expressions. So here you'll see the order of operations, and the parentheses, exponents is very simple as far as the order goes. It gets a little difficult for kids when you think about the concept of multiplying, dividing happens at the same time if those are the operations remaining from left to right. Same thing for adding or subtracting. They happen from left to right. So let's take a look at some of these. The first one, we have 40 divided by the difference of 10 and 2. So we have to find first what's in parentheses because the order of operations says to do parentheses first. I like to try my best to write the answer to the simplified operation 10 minus 2 right beneath the symbol, so that subtraction symbol. I showed how I simplified 10 minus 2 to 8, and then rewrite this by just bringing it down. Okay, so 40 divided by 8 then simplifies to 5. And if the kids are writing the procedures down, I always tell them it looks like a triangle if you are showing how it simplifies step by step. So it's a good way just to kind of check over and make sure you're showing your steps. I would like you to try this one. So pause the video and try that. Alright, I can write simple expressions from words and write words from simple expressions. So here we go. Looking at the first one, we have write 9 plus 4 times 3 using words. And the learning target's a little unclear in this way, but we need to realize we have to think of the order of operations. So the best way to write this when you have adding and multiplication as the two main operations is to consider which one comes first. Well, we know multiplication comes first because of PEMDAS. I'm going to write that down just to keep us in order there. So because of PEMDAS, we know that multiplication comes first. So you could write this in multiple different types of ways, but I'm just going to write it as this. Add 9 to the product of 4 and 3. So that tells us in that statement that we have to find the product really first of 4 and 3, which is multiplication, and we know that comes before adding. So there's the order of operations taken into consideration for that. And then here we're going to have to write an expression to represent multiplying the sum of 4 and 12 by 5. So the sum of 4 and 12, that means we're adding. The word sum means adding, and we're multiplying it by 5. But the order of operations, if we just left it that way, would tell us to do this multiplication first. So we have to add parentheses around here so that we actually find the sum of 4 and 12 first, and then multiply that by 5. Number 3, I can generate two numerical patterns given rules. So here's our rule, add 8, add 4. We are starting with 8 and we're adding 8. So 8 plus 8, 16. Add 8 again, you have 24. Add 8 again, you got 32. Add 8 again, you have 40. So simple pattern. And then add 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. Add 4 again, 12, 16, and 20. Now, students will have to explain the relationships between the top and bottom terms. So if we look at the relationship between the 8 and the 4, we could say that the 8, which is the top term, is the bottom term multiplied by 2. So we're saying this top term, you will get this number if you take the bottom term and multiply it by 2. So the top term is the bottom, and I probably should have added the word term after bottom. Let me get real sloppy. So the top term is the bottom term multiplied by 2. And if we multiply that bottom term by 2, we're going to get the top term every single time. So if you think of the bottom term, then the bottom term is the top term divided by 2. So it's the exact opposite. Divided here, multiplied here. So if we look at the bottom term, we'll get the bottom term if we divide the top one by 2, which makes sense. This one is really fun for most kids. They like to do these coordinate planes in quadrant 1, so all positive numbers. We know that this is really an ordered pair, and it looks like this. So it can be graphed. And this one, next one would be 2, 6, and then 3, 9, and so on. So the x, the first number, I like to think of it this way. It tells you to go across. The second number tells you to go up. So if you think of an ordered pair as these arrows, it helps. So over 1, up 3. Plot a point. Over 2, up 6. Plot a point, connect. Over 3, up 9. Plot a point and connect. And that line could keep on going and going, but this is what it created, and we could look at that pattern. So plotting points is pretty straightforward for most students. Lastly, the solving real world problems, I really want you to go to number 25 on your unit study guide for unit 7, and you'll get some good practice with that there. You also can go to number 20 in your math expressions book. Number 20, I believe, I'm double checking right now. Number 20, yes. If you go to number 20, page, let's see here, 234. If you go there, there's also a word problem that you can get some practice on. Okay, so keep studying and working hard, and you'll do great.